Hello, listeners. Thank you for checking out Our Yard Podcast. Today is episode 19. It is whatever day you want it to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Christmas. Who gives a fuck? We're talking about the 1994 albums and our personal favorite albums that came out this year. And today we have a special guest. We got That's Kenny.
What's up? What's up? How y'all doing?
Oh, yeah. We're just fucking around.
1994. What a year! I was -2. Is what a time to be alive.
Absolutely. And with that being said, let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We had to get real for a minute. Well, I guess we'll start this off. 1994 albums. Just 5 albums that we enjoy. Shout out Colby for starting this trend with the year 91, and now we're just going and we're adding motherfuckers because that's what we do. We're just live Moss, Taco Bell, motherfucker. So, I'm going to start this off. That's right. Shout out. So I'm going to start this off with an album. I've actually recently got back into it before we started like doing the album review, like years and stuff. But like from 1994, I have to go I'm gonna go 16 Stone from Bush. Dude, what a landmark album just to like drop out of fucking nowhere. It's like to be their first album and to have as many hits as it did on it is fucking crazy. Like,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is that the album? Is that the Bush album, the one that has like glycerine and like the one with the red cover? Is that?
Yeah, that's it.
That is a fire album. I've heard a couple things off of it.
Oh yeah, like so the hits everybody knows. Everything's in, Little Things, Come Down, Machine Head, and Glycerine. Like 5 smash hits. Like you just open it up an album, it's like you're like, goddamn, like this motherfuckers they don't like heavy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like multi-time platinum, dude. Is like hell. It even got him to date fucking Gwen Stefani for Christ's sakes.
I like the album cover too. It's got a very like it's a tail light, correct? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, with what's it called? Not Morse code. Damn it, what's it called? 100011.
Oh, binary.
Yeah, binary code. Yeah,
that's pretty iconic album cover.
Mm-hmm. But like, dude, honestly, like, even okay, so like, I think this kind of was like a precursor, like a little foreshadowing to like what would become shoegaze. When you dig deep in this album, there's like, songs like Swim and Bomb, Body, like Testosterone's that's something I really fuck with heavy. I mean, Monkey, like the deep tracks are really good. Like, obviously, now this is one album I do feel like it is a little justified with the singles that they picked out for the hits because, I mean, the hits they carry the album, but they are a little bit more powerful than what they had on the rest of the album, which like not by a drastic amount where it's like you got one song and then the rest of the album sucks, you have that in a lot of cases,
right?
But like this one's actually like it does hold up. It's just like the hits are kind of like undeniable,
right.
Just like
it looks like even as a casual fan, I'm familiar. I like Glycerine. I listen to it. It gets pretty like it's on. I have it on playlists now, but I know I've heard Come Down before. And I probably heard like a lot of the album, but I would like to like the way that you're explaining it. It sounds like something I would want to go back to because of the the lyrical content, and it ties back in. The hits tie back into the rest of the album, basically.
Oh yeah, it does. Sure. It really is like it is a well written album. It really is like it all goes with each other. But it's like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if most people listen to it and they're like, yeah, the hits are better or a little bit better. Like that's pretty much what I was getting at. It's like I would understand,
Yeah, I mean that's
I don't know. It's just it really is a good album. I mean, like overall, I'd probably give it like give it like 7 out of 10. 7.5 something like that. Like it really is a solid album. And like the hits, like as far as the hits, like I talked about like Testosterone, like that's one of my favorites from the deep cuts. And then but the hits, I don't know, something about Little Things, just I don't know, it's always stuck out with. I just like that. That's probably my favorite song.
Gotcha.
Like the hits, and so like Little Things, I don't know, I just fuck with it heavy.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely have to check it out. I'll probably listen to it after we get off here because that's like late grunge, correct? Like, I don't do my terminology may not be on point. It's like post.
It's like post grunge.
It's like post grunge, kind of like think like Nickelback, Creed, stuff like that. It's kind of like the precursor to that.
Yeah, but it's just okay. All right, yeah. Nickelback isn't as bad as. All right, anyways, it's about Nickelback. Yeah, if only I had 45 cents.
God damn it!
Yeah, Fallen concert. But yeah, I see what you're saying though. It definitely is. I can see it being the grandfather or older brother to those to that movement.
Yeah, I mean it really is like the bridge between
Nirvana.
Like Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins.
Pearl Jam is a really good example. I think Pearl Jam directly is like a big influence on those bands, but definitely 16 Stone is like the album. I think that bridges the gap between it. I agree.
And like it bridges that up until Butt Rock, pretty much. Like Trevor said, like Creed and Puddle of Mud and stuff like that.
For sure. I got a band. Y'all are gonna set me to pull this one out.
I'm ready for it.
Hit me with it.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's it's a long road to Lincoln Park.
Lincoln Park.
Oh yeah,
that's the end game. It all ends at collision course, like
pretty much.
Anyways, yeah. The Fantastic. Yeah, that's I mean, I definitely want to.
Good. Hell yeah. But my first album of 1994 that I'm going to talk about, it's not my favorite album of 1994, but it's one of my favorites. And I feel like this album definitely does get kind of lost in the wash compared to a lot of the albums from 94 and just this scene in general. I'm talking about Live Through This, which is the second studio album from the band Hole, led by Kurt Cobain's ex, Courtney Love. And, as much as people shit on Courtney Love, especially the way she was acting like after the whole, Kurt Cobain thing. This is definitely an album that you don't want to miss. The whole album itself, I mean, more than half of the songs are damn hits. Obviously, the biggest hit from this album is probably Doll Parts, which is a very painful, brutal song to listen to, but it's track 6. Starts off with Violet, nice little 3.5 minute banger. Goes into Miss World, which is probably my favorite hit off of the album itself, and goes into easily my favorite song on the album, Plump, which is one of the shorter songs on the album, but just absolutely a banger. The guitar work you're getting from Eric Erlandson is just phenomenal, and Courtney Love is a damn good rhythm guitarist in her own right. Kristen Pfaff, fantastic bassist, also does piano on the songs that call for it, and Patty Shamel, the drummer, doing her damn thing as well. After Plump, going into Asking for It, which directly goes into, if I'm not mistaken, the inspiration for Megan Fox's biggest movie, Jennifer's Body. But then we go into Doll Parts, like I said, biggest hit they ever made, biggest hit from the album. And I remember those, like, check out, like, it's like the infomercials for all the 90s albums and stuff like that, and like 90s hits and stuff like that. There was a bunch of Nirvana on it, a bunch of Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, and I remember they would always play the end of Doll Parts. And without the context of everything that happens before that, you're like, what the fuck am I listening to? This is awful. And then you actually listen, you sit down and listen to the whole song. You're like, holy shit, why am I crying? But anyway, right after that, it goes into Credit in the Straight World. Probably the most slept on song on the album. it like there isn't a bad song on this album. That's a great example of it, though. Softer Softest is another hit, and as far as the way the track listing goes, it's probably the last hit on the album. She Walks on Me, another kind of like this whole album is just designed to like stab you in the heart, essentially. It's just meant to hurt you. And it does a very, very good job at it, especially on I Think That I Would Die, which is the 10th track on the album. And then it ends with Gutless going into Rockstar Olympia. And yeah, it's like there is not a bad album. There's not a bad song on this album at all. Personally, I'd give it 8.5, 9 out of 10. Wonderfully made album. If you haven't checked it out, you absolutely need to. With that being said, we're going into Kenny's first album, which is.
I had a question about the Courtney Love album.
Go ahead.
So like a couple, but I'll make it quick. So like,
no problem.
If I listen to this album, will I get more of a perspective? Will I get more of her perspective, and maybe like will it shape my opinion of her in the whole situation? I guess would be would it be something worth would it be something worth checking out to get more perspective on the entire the story?
Yeah, well, I mean, this album was written and recorded and released before Kurt Cobain committed suicide. So, as far as like a look into what Courtney Love is as a person, it's a really good look into that. Everything after that, which I mean, it's like a lot of their music after this album is what it is. Like, it's not bad, it's not good, it just is, But this album in particular, I would say, is probably the rawest look into what Courtney Love was, especially at this time.
Into what their lives were probably like, somewhat what their lives were like.
Yeah.
Like the emotions, like type of, yeah. Okay, that answered my question. I'm assuming Kurt had a hand in was played a role in this album at some point.
If I'm not mistaken, he actually had nothing to do with this album. Believe it or not, he didn't. He did no writing. No, Courtney Love. I mean, in her own right, dude, she was a fantastic musician, fantastic songwriter. Kurt had nothing to do with this album. Believe it or not.
All right. Well, I wouldn't have expected that. Shouts out to Courtney Love. I'll definitely check that one out too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. Sorry, I wouldn't mean to. That's Kenny. Because I can't say that's Kenny because that sounds odd. And my first album from 1994 is man, it's Regulators, the album, or G Funk Era by Warren G. Man,
Regulators, stand up.
All right. This jump was dropped on June the 7th. So out of all the albums I talk about, here today, we got 2 in June, and they make sense. But anyways, that's not the point. I'm gonna start from the lowlights. I didn't even really have enough time to dive back into this album that long, and I definitely got to go back to it because the whole damn thing is just a bumping, dude. It's just the entire album was produced by Warren G. I did not realize that Warren G. I knew he made beats, but I did not realize that he had, he made. I mean, it was like that. I mean, I know the lead single obviously is Regulators, and that's a classic, dude. I mean, we probably all can do Regulators right now if we just started,
Oh yeah.
But there's some other really big highlights on there that I'm gonna be going back to in my day to day, going forward. The first one is What's Next featuring Mr. Malik. The reason this song stuck out to me was when I went on there, I had the two disc version, and it had the instrumental. So me naturally, I went to the instrumental first to procrastinate and rap over a beat right quick. So during that, I'm like, oh, this beat's hard. So I went to go listen to the song. The song's hard. It's better. Nothing I had nothing on. That's I'm not gonna rap over that. No, it's fantastic. And then you got And You Don't Stop. That's a solo song by Warren G. That's it's a vibe, dude. The whole thing's a vibe. I felt like I was playing GTA San Andreas like instantly, just going with Ryder to go pick up some guns and shit.
Oh yeah.
There's a Regulators remix, which is really cool, and it's just a little subtle changes to the beat. But if you've heard, it's worth hearing. It doesn't ruin it. It's not bad, which a lot of remixes of classic songs end up. I don't even want to speak on them,
I get it.
But obviously, the star of the show here is Regulators, which is I mean, if it ain't Diamond, it should be Diamond. I mean, that's a iconic West Coast track, and oh, excuse me, sorry, big foundation of big part of the evolution of West Coast hip hop, really, because what started with Dr. Dre and NWA, and let's see, 6 short years turned into that, and
Yeah.
I think it's neat. I listened to a lot of Nate Dogg's on the album, I believe, 4 times, if I'm not mistaken. And Nate Dogg's good, and I'm glad that I'm glad it feels like a Warren G album because a lot of people naturally associate the two together, and that's fine. But this was a good peek into Warren G as an artist and an entity in himself. And I give it about. I want to run through it again and probably go to a pool party or something, and bump it and just talk to some old heads and see what they think. But I'm down to give it like a 8 right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, it really does. Like, I mean, I'm like, I don't know. I'd have to go back, dude. It's been probably 8 years since I've like listened to multiple tracks off that album.
But
Like, I definitely need to go back and like.
Same. The last track on the first disc is fantastic. I didn't get the name, but it's got like 5 people on it, and I was running out of time, so I had to. But man, yeah, go check it out. It's a vibe. You can bump it all the way through, and it's just it's a vibe. Like I said, pool parties. But that Regulators remix is tough. Like Regulators, it's just one of those subtle differences in the beat makes all the difference type thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely. I don't know. It's like it's just one of those albums, like just kind of hitching on what you were saying. It's just iconic, man. Like it really, it was almost like we were talking about with Bush. Like it kind of was that like in that bridge. Like
it's
as
like
far
a bridge
as like
between Aftermath, Dre, and California Love and stuff. It's like the middle of it.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of all of it.
And it's like it was on the. It's kind of like bringing it to like hip hop, going up on the right, like on the rise. It was just kind of making it more mainstream. Like,
right.
I don't know. That album just did a lot. Very iconic.
Yeah. What's crazy about it? I would. What label would you have assumed that this came out on? It being where it is, and Warren G being who he is.
Brother, don't even get me fucking lying.
I would have assumed.
I would assume
Death Row. I would assume. Yeah, I assumed Death Row, right?
Yeah.
Okay, check it out. So, I'm definitely not on Wikipedia right now or nothing like that.
Was it Def Jam?
It was not Def Jam. It was none of the above is the answer. I'm trying to look it up now because I was like, that's crazy. But I think I had Violator Records. So yeah, Violator Records and distributed by Rush Associated Labels. It was not a Death Row. It was not affiliated. Well, I'm sure it was a album. It was also the 1995 Grammy Awards and the Soul Train Music Awards. Everybody knows those famous Soul Train Music Awards in '95. They were nominated for Song of the Year, so they were there with everybody.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've got for that. Y'all can let's see. Hey guys, can we do a? Oh, never mind. I'm good. Never mind. Yeah. Anyways, I'm done. We can move on to Harley's next if y'all are ready.
All right. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep the same vibe, with what you're going off, Kenny. And this is my favorite. It's not. This is my favorite rap group all time. It's fucking Outkast debut, Southern Playlistic Cadillac Music. I mean,
right.
It might be like as far as an Outkast album, it might not be. I don't know. It might be the one people probably think about least. I guess like it's very underrated to like in my. I guess in my head, like you know, like just how I view it, because everybody, you know, goes back. Like, of course, you know, like
Outcast
most
is
people are like
extremely hard.
Stankonia. You know, like Stankonia was like, that was the first one that was just like, you know, massive. Like you couldn't escape anything from that.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, which I mean, Equipment I had some big hit. Like, don't get me wrong, like it was like real huge, and then like by Stankonia, it was just like you couldn't escape Outcast.
Sorry,
And
Miss Jackson. Yeah. Yeah.
I am for real.
It's like
But
one of my,
like
I remember that Embedded.
but they like that whole dude. I don't know, like Outcast. It kind of gives you like a view into what they're about to become going into AT Aliens, which is my personal favorite album of theirs. Like it's so fucking raw, and it's just dirty. Like everything about it is just, it's just like raw, like dirty, nasty record. Like I don't know, it
It sounds like
sounds
it
so
was made in
good,
a place.
man.
It sounds like
Like
it was
it's
made in a
really,
place called the Dungeon Family Studio, huh? Like
you're
it
damn
sounds like it was made in a dungeon. Like I think it's one of the best showcases of both of their raw rapping abilities out of all
Oh
the
man,
albums. You know, like
yeah.
if you just want both of them rapping, like that's your album. You know.
Oh, without a doubt, man. Like, cause both of them, which in like no, you know, like I love their singing and like everything they like, everything that they do, like you know, melodies, harmony, like how they layer shit. But like it's like you said, like as far as just like a straight rap album, like as far like them just spitting fucking bars, like this is really like
Folks
it
got
just
bars.
shows you, yeah, like it just shows you, oh, these dudes were about that shit, and like
It's like their version of the dedication mixtapes for not the kids, but the folks that are older than us. But
oh
you know what I'm saying? It's like kind of like the mixtape version.
yeah,
But yeah, no, I feel the same. They, you know, and to your point on like the melodies and whatnot. Yeah, like my favorite Outkast is Love Below, which is probably has the least amount of rapping, but
oh yeah,
they're both good for different reasons. All the Outkast albums are amazing.
oh yeah, without a doubt, and like I don't know, this album, man, just the one thing, and then like it shows it, like they went along with this trend on all their albums. Like they would have like, for example, this is a 17-track album, which is kind of crazy in '94.
Mm-hmm.
But like, also it was released on Trevor's birthday. Shout that out.
Hey,
2 years before he was born.
Oh yeah.
-2.
But this album is like it shows like how they would later like layer their albums out. Is like they would have, you know, the intro, few song, like interlude. It's like, and then like a few more songs, interlude, you know, shit like, and it's like, like which I love because it's like it spices it up because like, you know, like for me, like a casual listener, I guess you could say, you know, you listen to like a rap album, like sometimes you just listen to a rap out, like if it don't click with you, it's kind of like you just
It's hard
listen
to
to
it's hard to keep it going. Yeah,
yeah, like it's like real mundane, you know, like it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just
right.
bland.
I don't want to hear all these rap songs, and you know, like it's like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely get what you're saying. It's not rare, but it's always a good sign when that album can keep your attention going into the third,
Yeah.
fourth song. Like,
And like that's how they do it. It's like they'll do a few songs, like hit an interlude, and it's like it's either like funny or intriguing, like something. It just catches your eye. You're like, what the fuck was that shit? And then you're like, I gotta hear it again. And then it just goes into like the first interlude is track 4, Welcome to Atlanta. And then it just hits you with the title track, Southern Playlistic Cadillac Music, and you're like, the fuck? Like
I gotta go buy a fucking lowrider right now. Like,
yeah. You're like,
yeah.
damn, son.
Like,
Damn, son, where'd you
instantly,
find this?
hey,
Like,
hell yeah. That Trevor was -2, bro. Like, the man was in the ether. Like, yeah, this shit bumping.
Hell yeah. That's why I broke
Yeah.
my mom's ribs. She put on the title track. It's just like, you know what, Mom? Fuck your ribs. I'm sorry.
This shit
yeah, like,
slapped,
I mean, the whole album, man, like it just, I don't know. To me, it just slaps. Like I love, like, you know, the title track, and then Call of the Wild, Players Ball, you
Players
know,
ball. Yeah.
Claiming True, and then you got another interlude, like it just goes funky ride, and then it's like another interlude. Then you got Get Up, Get Out, and you're like, fuck, like this shit's, it's just jamming, man. Like Crumbling Herb, Hootie, like I don't know, man. Like I could just talk about fucking Outcast all day. Like I love them so much.
Like go
Like
by
it's just
quickly.
they've always do what?
It's almost like a 17 tracks that don't go by like quickly, but you're like, it doesn't feel like a task listening to 17 tracks, you know?
Oh yeah. You're like an hour and 5 minutes. You're like, hell, that that was rather fast. Like,
That jump slap. That's a good way to spend an hour, man.
Yeah.
it really is. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I might be a little biased because they're my favorite rap group, but I mean, fuck them. I don't care. Like, this is where I'm at.
Yeah, I love Outkast. And I've said this for every album so far, but I'm going to say it again here. Looking back at it and like looking at the track listing and whatnot, I need to go and listen to it again.
Yeah. It really, like, I listened to it today, or actually the last few days I've listened to it just to like, it's probably been a year. Yeah, it's probably been like a year and a half since I've listened to the full album, and I was like, fucking, I'm gonna spin it. And I was, just like I always am, I'm like, yeah, shit slapping.
Motherfucker slapping.
It really is, man. Like, and I'm like you, kid. Like, Big Boy is so underrated, dude. Like,
oh man, Big Boy is. I mean, I'm not gonna compare the two. They're good. They're both just like so good. But Big Boy didn't make a flute album. That's the only time I'm gonna talk about the flute. But it's just like, but and then what this album meant for Atlanta too. What's album meant for Atlanta? Well, not the flute album. What what the Outkast album and what Goody Mob and what all that meant for Atlanta and like back then. You gotta also think the thing I've been like trying to remind myself, which is dumb, but I'm kind of gotta remind yourself sometimes that this was 1994 too. So some of these things that you're hearing, nobody's ever heard before. Like nobody ever heard anything like this, remotely like this.
Not at all.
And the album I'm gonna talk about later, I just looked at. It was released 7 days before. So the week before this, you had we're gonna talk about it later, and then we had this the next week. Like,
Jesus.
Imagine that, man. Imagine you're trying to go to the freaking Source Awards then.
Like straight up, man. Like 94. I mean, and I think it's like really. I think 94. I mean, even with this album, like I said, like that bridge, but it's like the whole year. Really, I think it just kind of escalated rap to a whole new.
It's on the very short list of like, best years of music. Yeah, I would put it on there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like especially for rap, like hip hop, rap. Like, I mean, it really just like.
Damn near the year rap was born. Like it was like rap was getting big, but it was like undeniably big after '94. Like it was different.
Oh yeah. Yep. Especially like with the release of your favorite album of the year and like your number one, like when it like that just changed. Like it just changed the fucking world. Like, I don't know.
Three the three that are the three this year are like there's no other years Warren G gets number one album of the year easy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Without a doubt.
Like, none but classics. Classics dropping every week. Shit. Where's Beyonce, man? I swear, man. Like, I'm sure everybody dropped 94.
No.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, keeping on the same topic of hip hop, man, my next, this is the biggest rap group of all time. You already know it's Korn, and their debut album. Debut album, Korn. It's just called Korn, and a lot of people didn't know what the hell nu metal was at this point, and still a lot of people don't know what the hell it is. And basically, how would you describe nu metal? Imagine Adderall made music. And that's what nu metal is. It's just like if like a big bag of meth just started making music, but it's good. And Korn, like their debut album, by far, probably the album that really launched nu metal, I would say, because when nu metal was here, it was just here. All of a sudden you just turn around and it's like, who the fuck is this Jonathan Davis dude? But anyway, I mean, you want to talk about an album with no skips on it? I mean, blind, ball tongue, need to, clown, divine, a word I'm not going to say. Shoots and ladders, predictable, fake lies, helmet in the bush, and daddy the 17.5-minute song with a hidden track on it. And the hidden track is Michael and Jerry. Daddy is one of the most uncomfortable songs I've ever heard in my life.
God.
But
It's like one of the scariest. Like it's up there with like Black Sabbath's self-titled song. Like it is
terrifying.
so fucking haunting. But fuck it, like it catches you, brother. Like it puts you, it pulls you in to what it is. Like it's fucking insane.
Oh yeah. And personally, my favorite song on the album is still probably Need to be honest. I mean, there's not a bad song on this album, even the one called, Fuh, give it a space, Agate. And that's the name of the song. Like, I'm not just.
Bro, you don't get a pass for that. Bro, you can't just, man.
Damn.
I mean, like, you can't add
It's
an
the
L
name
and make
of the
it.
song, dude. I don't know what
Bro,
to tell you.
the man said, bro, all right. Man said, man, I ain't gonna get canceled. Hold on. Man, all right. Yeah, 17.5-minute song. Let's change the topic. What was that all about? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, the seven. You want to talk? That what's funny about that is, like, if we're talking about getting canceled, the 17.5-minute song is probably the one that would get us canceled. Daddy
love
is
of God,
pretty much. Yeah, Daddy is the one talking about Jonathan Davis talking about his painful and tragic experience of being molested as a child and no one believing him.
Oh, that's fucked up.
And it is just a gut wrenching song, dude. And it is like, it's so heavy on top of that it's just like you're head banging and crying and you don't know why. But
I think that's beautiful, but that's a lot, man. I don't know what.
no, it's the Corn is not for the weak of heart. I'll tell you that.
Oh,
As far as an actual, like, the way the album starts off, Blind. Look, I'm a big Primus fan, and I still to this day kind of feel like they took a little bit more than just inspiration from Too Many Puppies on the start of Blind. But at the same time, Blind goes in a completely different direction than Too Many Puppies, so I can't give it that much crap. That being said, not a skip on this album, honestly. And I know nu metal is a very niche kind of music, so if you don't like it, you don't like it. And I'm not going to be like, how can you not like Corn? Because I can think of at least 10 reasons. But that being said, no, for me, it's a 9 out of 10 album, easy. I highly recommend listening to it. I would recommend you be in kind of a good mood if you're going to listen to it, because this is just one of those albums just was like, oh, I'm happy. And then by the end of it, it's like, wow, that gun looks tasty. And that's Corn for you. That's really Corn's entire career until they started messing with dubstep, and I'm just. But we don't talk about Corn step.
There's Corn step. Ooh, we gotta get.
There's Corn step. They did a song. They did a song with Skrillex called "Get Up," I think, and that was when I figured out that like Corn is just on a constant downward spiral, and it's really unfortunate. But that being said, Kenny, hit us with your second album.
So, well, I was thinking I'll go ahead and do Illmatic real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, once upon a time, in a state that's far away from mine, Queensbridge, fucking New York, New York City, not New York State. It is in New York State, but it's New York City, Queensbridge projects. This dude named this kid named Nas really was 19 years old or 20 years old, and he was about to drop what is debatably the most important rap album of all time, which along with it's so hard for me to say without getting tongue twisted. The first Outkast album, Southern
Playlistic catalytic. Gosh,
catalytic converter.
Put it off on me, brother.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Oh God, the first Outkast album. Like, I do know it. Like, I'll fight somebody. But anyway, all right. So Illmatic was like the week. I didn't even realize it was the week before neither. That's wild, bro. Trevor was having a hell of a time in -2. Jesus, man. So on April 19th, which is also Hitler's. Well, no, wait, hon. April 19th, which is also a big day and like a lot of big days in a lot of different circles. Illmatic dropped, man, and where do you start? You start at the Genesis, man. That's where fucking rap was basically born. I mean, more or less. Kind of being sarcastic, kind of even not. They have Nas's, I believe it is his nephew, talking, who's like, with the Washingtons and what Jackson's go to wife, son, you know how that go. And like, it captures the vibe of like early 90s, New York and hip hop and just that core, like technical definition of hip hop aesthetic so well, and it created it, along with so much more. Track 2, everybody's heard, bro. If you played Saints Row 2, on God, you've heard this, bro. It's fucking New York State of Mind, dude.
Phone disconnected.
And so I'm jetting through the building lobby, and it was full of children, probably couldn't see as high as I be. So what you saying? It's like the game ain't the same. Yeah, y'all played that shit. Y'all know y'all freaking y'all were on Saints Row 2.
Oh yeah.
Trying to buy the penthouse. Hop in the car right quick. But yeah, so then you got Life's a Bitch, which is, that's got AZ on it, who is the only rap feature on the entire album, and it's one of the most iconic verses of ever. I don't really know what else to say. I can do it the entire song a cappella. I tested myself the other day to see if I could still, if I was still really about the hip hop life, and I am apparently. It also has, it features something from Nas's dad. So because Nas's dad has a credited role on it. Nas's dad's also a musician, actually from the Mississippi Delta. I forget exactly what town, but I think it's Natchez. So if you want a little bit of little known trivia, definitely Nas's pops. That's I think one of 2 songs that his dad's on total his whole career. So that's kind of special. Going on, The World Is Yours, man. Scarface. I Want the World, Chico, and everything in it. That shit's like, it's hard. It'd be really hard for me to find 3 more songs in hip hop in general that are that more iconic that just come one after another.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely a task. And okay, so I don't have my notes in front of me at the moment. I think it goes into halftime after that.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it is halftime. It is halftime.
I'm looking at it.
Halftime's probably my least favorite of the album. This album is a 10 to me, and it defines what a 10 is to me. So I can't really, I guess if I had to pick one, that would be my weak spot. It also is the first song that was recorded for the album. So it's kind of what got it all started. It was a single after his feature on Live at the Barbecue.
Right.
That moment when you realize you drove to the wrong Kroger. Hold on 1 second. But yeah, anyway, so we're going, I think, into either Represent or Memory Lane after that. I think it's Memory Lane.
Yep, it is.
Memory Lane is debatably one of my favorite songs on the album. I'm not going to tell you what my favorite song on the album is because I honestly don't fucking know.
It's it changes from day to day, pretty much.
Yeah, it took a lot for me to come up with Halftime as the weak spot,
Oh yeah.
But I like Memory Lane because I'm a real big guess who got shot in the dome piece? Jerome's niece on her way home from Jones Beats. Plus Little Rod is selling drugs on the dime, hanging out with young killers who all carry nines. Like it's such good storytelling. And going back to what we were talking about with Outkast, like nobody'd ever heard anything like this, and debatably nobody's ever heard anything like Nas since. So imagine hearing that for the first time in 1994.
Oh yeah. Right,
So
without a doubt.
Fucking mind blowing. It's mind blowing today, much less 30 years ago.
He just did this, like 19 years old, just boom, like here at Nas, Illmatic. And it's defined to going forward, it's defined what a classic is. Like people like all artists strive to have an Illmatic. Like there's only a few other albums that are even considered in that rarefied air. And I think you'd be hard pressed to find a hip hop album that's, more iconic than it. But I'm not done yet. That was a good way to close that out. But so you go to Represent, man. It's some ill shit, man. It's some gritty shit. It's like it sounds like New York. It sounds like they made these DJ Premier. It sounds like it sounds exactly like it's at its right place and time, and exactly it's not more than it needs to be. Then you got One Time for Your Mind.
Yeah, it goes. One Time for Your Mind, then Represent. Represent's probably my favorite song on the album, personally.
Well, all right. So let's cover freaking It Ain't Hard to Tell. That freaking cell phone in that video, man. That's the whole reason. That's the only reason, like that shit popped off. Like the man hopped out the bins with the damn cell phone that could give you radiation, like in Fallout. And like that's just iconic, man. It's such iconic, like there's been like the remix albums. I can't even get into the remix albums, like in the 20-year anniversary albums and stuff, because there's some really cool stuff that they've done with Q-Tip did or whatever. But I mean, that's a lot. I'm really getting onto some nerd type stuff now. I mean, you know, there was some other shit that I that I thought about that I wanted to say, but I'm gonna save it, man. Illmatic, time is Illmatic. Keep static like wool fabric. You know, crack a full cat to crack your whole cabbage. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's right.
Yeah.
I bet Nas was, this is where they invented Lyrical Miracle, bro. Come on now.
So I got a question. I know it's your favorite album, probably your favorite album of all time.
It's
Definitely
not.
your favorite rap album.
It's not. That's actually not even his favorite Nas album, to be honest.
Okay. Well, it's like whatever, you know.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you.
Well, let me rephrase that since I'm ignorant.
No, you're good.
Like, no, I mean ignorant as in like not knowing. I didn't know. I just assumed. I guess that was my fault. But
I can see how you can assume that.
So me and Trevor did this thing where we're like okay, I saw this thing on Twitter like about 5-6 years ago. It was like, what are the best like 3-song runs on an album?
Mm.
And what would be your 3 favorite songs on this album? And I know the easy, like you could just say it to be like the most influential songs, like you said, is like New York State of Mind, Life's a Bitch, and The World Is Yours. Like, you know, that's an easy answer. But I mean, like, if that's your answer, that's cool. I'm just saying, like that's hard to fucking beat, honestly. Like, just really for what it did to fucking music.
I'm gonna put Memory Lane in there, and actually, I like One Love. Ooh, I forgot I didn't talk about One Love. Hold on, shit. Okay, so mine, to answer your question first, I'm just gonna do this quick. I'm not gonna overthink it. 3, 2, 1. All right, Life's a Bitch, Memory Lane, and One Love. Those are my 3 favorite tracks on Illmatic.
I got you. But what so I guess what I was saying, like 3-track runs, like 3 songs in a row.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like 3 songs in a row on that album. That's just like like straight heat. Which I know the whole album is fire, but like if you had to pick 3 songs in a row on the album, like that go in order.
Yeah, for me personally, it's One Time for Your Mind, Represent, and It Ain't Hard to Tell.
Oh, that's what you would pick?
Yeah, that's my opinion.
It's
just the last 3 songs on the album.
I want to do that halftime Memory Lane, One Love, but I don't. I'm gonna go with New York State of Mind, Life's a Bitch, The World Is Yours. That's to me the obvious answer. That's hard to beat that. Everybody wins, man. Everybody gets a trophy in this one. Like, this is for real. Like you can't go wrong with nothing.
Yeah, you know, it's probably been, you know, shit. It's probably been a few years since I've listened to this album. Like, I need to go back and just like, you know, dig deep into it tomorrow. Like,
yeah, dude, take it in. It's only 40 minutes long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 40.
I have another little known fact about it, and then I'm done with it. This was the first album that was ever widespread bootleg. This is the first album that was ever bootlegged on a widespread scale.
Huh.
Yep.
I can see that.
Hey guys, I'm gonna put you on mute for a second, but I'm still here. All right.
That's cool.
Yeah, all good.
I'm about to run it.
Go for it.
All right. So I'm gonna go next, and I'm gonna go with my 3rd pick. I gotta go, you know, with my, like I've talked about, an artist, like my 3rd favorite artist, you know, the king of country, the GOAT, George Strait, with his album Lead On from that year. Oh. Brother, I don't know, you know, you had 3 number ones, like 3, hold up. Yeah, like you had 3 number ones on the album. Wow. And like you had another song in the top 5 with Adelita. Like, dude, it's just like, it's George Strait, man. Like, it's the fucking, like, that's my dude, you know, like I love him. And it might be a little biased, you know, once again, like Outkast, but like, fuck it, dude. Like, dude, George Strait to me, like, motherfucker don't miss. Honestly.
Slaps. It's like I'm not the biggest fan of country. I like some country, but I love George Strait. It's so smooth. It's different from any other country.
I mean, it is, dude. Like, the way and it's like the storytelling, like how he sings and portrays a song. You just like it paints a picture in your head, and like you just in it, like you just get into the song that he's singing. You're just like, this is wonderful. You know, you just
you get sucked into
like,
it for sure.
yeah. And like, dude, I mean, that's like the big hits. Like I taught, you know, the three number ones. You Can't Make a Heart Love Somebody, the title track, Lead On, and the big one. They're all great. You know, wonderful songs. Like Adelita was the top 5. Like it's a fucking banger. But like some of the ones, like the deeper tracks, like I Met a Friend of Yours Today, is a damn, like that's one of my personal favorites. What I'm Waiting For. Like I'll always be loving you, knowing, but you. I mean, you just like, to me, I can just like turn on any George Strait album. I've listened to all of them countless times. Like I had the vinyl collections. Like that's my fucking dude. Like I just, you know, like I have to put, and like honestly, in the '90s, like so far, I've had a George Strait album every year. But like the dude was in, like he was in his bag at this point. You know,
if I had to pick
like,
a favorite country artist, that's probably who I would pick. You know?
yeah, like bro, he was like, this is '94. He was 13 years in to his career. And this dude, he already had, like, in 13 years, I think he was sitting at, like, after this album, I don't know the exact number, but if I had to take a guess, I'd say probably 35 number one hits. And probably, and like probably at least, I'll say 30 at least. And then probably like 40, 45, like top 10 songs. Like, dude was just, I mean, he was just putting out banger after banger. Like, dude couldn't fucking miss.
Football numbers.
Yeah, like, and honestly, the more years we do, like, the more George Strait's happening, because, like, to me, the older he got, like, the more he went on, like, the shit just got better. And, like, you know, a little piece, like, people might not know, a lot of people might know, but, like, George Strait, his whole thing, like, he didn't necessarily do a lot of, he wrote one song on the second album, like from his first, like from 81 to 06, like he wrote one song, like by himself, put it on the album. But like, and you know, people are like, well, he didn't write a song, you know, like a lot of country singers. But like he explained, it was like he had his songwriting partner Dean Dillon, and it was like they just had this chemistry, like and they were putting out number ones, like, you know, year after year. They were just making, and like they were making money, and he was just like, hey, like he just said, I didn't want to jinx the cycle, so we just kept doing what we were doing. He's like, I kept recording songs as soon as I got them, and like he's like, you know, we did it until he pretty much got to where he was like the GOAT, undeniably, and he was like, okay, I can do what I want. And then he started writing, and like when he started writing most of his albums again, like from 09 to now, like I think it's probably his best music that he's done, really? Like in the last 15 years. Like, dude's just like at 72 years old, he's just making some of the best shit out there.
Just our life of music, man. That's the dream, you know. That's awesome. That's honestly a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and to have the most number one hits from an artist, like have 70 number one hits, you know.
Yeah,
and have like over 100. I think he has like 105 that are like top 10 songs or something like that. Like it's
probably in that Drake top, like he's probably in that top conversation. If I had to look, I don't know it off my top of my head, but I know that he's probably got the most number ones. You know, like he's in that conversation. You know.
Oh, Drake.
No, George Strait. Like, I mean, unfortunately, Drake's in that conversation too. But you know.
I thought you said Drake for a second. I was like, he's got a bunch.
No, I did, but I wasn't trying to. Yeah, I was just saying they're probably on the same list. You know, of most number ones. I'd imagine George Strait's in there. You know.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. He did that. Who's that man song? Correct? Or I'm right about that, right?
The what?
That that's my house and that's my car. Yeah, that's him, right?
Yeah.
No, that's Toby Keith.
Is it?
Yeah. Who's that man? Well, Toby Keith. Yeah.
Well, damn. Yeah. All right, y'all. All right.
No, you're good, man. I get pretty, like, honestly though, like I'll just say, like, tell you, man, like 90s country, like that's my favorite, like my favorite genre, like my favorite era of country music is 90s. Like, you know, I could pretty much just like tell you whatever fucking song it was, like even one hit wonders, like from back then. Like, I just love that shit. I don't know,
like
like
that with a lot
90s
of
country
hip-hop.
was just hitting different.
It was. I like 90s country, and I like that Towns Van Zandt, like, you know, I'm gonna rob a train and steal a horse type country. Those are the two types of country I'm into, you know. uh, but yeah, no, that's
But yeah,
I do
that's
really like George Strait too. But damn, that Toby Keith is fire.
brother Toby. Now listen, Toby Keith had some fire albums in the 90s. I'm not, you know, I put one of his on my 93 list, like his debut album. Like his debut had like three. It had like three number one. It had a bunch of hits. Like Toby Keith was, yeah,
You
he
got
was.
that red solo cup, man. You can't even like Toby Keith is. George Strait may have the beautiful voice and the life devoted to music, but Toby Keith's got that red solo cup, bro.
That's right.
That's right.
But no,
Yeah.
that was my third album, and I guess I'll give it a you know, even though I talk like it's not my favorite George Strait album, it is a great album. Like it is, you know, it really is like just a great storytelling album. I mean, I probably, you know, I'll give it like 8 out of 10, probably like, you know, 7.5, something like that. Like, you know, if you're into country, like, but the thing about country albums is kind of like what I was saying about rap. Like, you can listen to a country album, like, most of the time the hits kind of carry it, but like, you know, to me, like, that's the difference with George Strait is like, all his, like, you can listen to a whole album and it's, you know, it's not boring. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different songs. Like, he has slow songs, like he has love songs, he has heartbreak, he has, you know, western, like, you know, rockabilly, like he just like he does like a bunch of different shit. Like it's not the same damn song over again.
Right. So me as a casual country fan, but a fan of good songwriting, I could be like, it would get me into it. You know, it does not being like like a genre, like a expert of the genre. I could still appreciate and like, you know, be like, oh, this is really good. It's one of those that'll grab. Like, I mean, people can appreciate like Illmatic without being a big fan of rap. You know.
Oh yeah, 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 without a doubt.
Fantastic. I'll check it out as well. I got a lot of music to listen to.
But here,
Absolutely.
I guess we'll let Trevor take over. Let him get number 3, get his third
So,
favorite album.
Sounds good. Yeah, this album is this isn't even this band's like biggest album they ever made, but it's one of my personal favorites they ever made. Um, Coming out in October 17th of 94. We're talking about the English acid jazz, funk, R&B, soul pop, whatever you want to call them, Jamiroquai. One of my
hell yeah.
favorite groups of all time with their 94 release, The Return of the Space Cowboy. And no, this is not the one with Virtual Insanity on it. That was the one a couple years after that, the year we were all born. But this album itself, it's phenomenal. And I know, like, right when it came out, like a lot of critics were like, "Oh, well, you know, they're in that sophomore slump." It's like, well, not for long. Because if you just actually take the time to listen to this album, you will understand that Jamiroquai was quite ahead of their time as far as like what they were giving the public at what time period. J.K. is one of my favorite frontmen of all time. He has this weird kind of style of like you can't tell if he's rapping or singing, and it's kind of a mix of the two. Um, he's usually in a higher registry when he's doing it, but the album starts off with a damn near 9 minute song that they did in one take called Just Another Story. And it's just kind of them talking about like street life and stuff like that. Of course, JK's not exactly, he wasn't exactly sober at this point. So you get to hear a lot of him just like, wow, 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 like doing that in the background. But it's fun otherwise, you know, it's a really fun time. Stillness and Time is probably the first big hit on the album. And I mean, every song on this album sounds the same, but I'm a really, really big funk fan. That's my favorite genre. But they do this thing where it's like every song sounds different, but the song sounds pretty much exactly the same all the way throughout. And I really like that in funk, not so much in other genres, because funk is a music to be danced to. It's a music to have a good time to. It's a music to put your cares to the side and just enjoy it while it's happening.
Get up off of
And
that thing.
Stillness and Time, yeah, and Stillness and Time, albeit it's one of the more relaxed songs on the album, and definitely a jammy kind of album because this is the shortest song on the album at 4 minutes and 15 seconds long. And I mean, yeah, that gives you an idea of what kind of album it is. Then it goes into Half the Man, Light Years, Manifest Destiny, The Kids. My favorite song, Mr. Moon, with one of the best bass lines you will ever hear from the phenomenal Stuart Zender. Goes into another one of my favorite songs on the album, Scam, which is a 7 minute banger. And something about Jamiroquai compared to other funk bands, especially, is when they're playing an 8 minute long song, you don't realize that 8 minutes just went by. You were just sitting there jamming the whole time. It's great music to put on while you're doing something in the background. But there's also like the writing skill of JK and their keyboardist Toby Smith as well is very it's it makes you think. It'll have you sitting there being like, oh wow, my problems aren't that bad compared to like the rest of the people in the world. And again, going back to Just Another Story, that's a really good example of being able to have a good time while listening to some real shit. And right after Scam, it goes into the one and only instrumental on the album, Journey to Arnhem Land, and 5 minutes 19 seconds. Stuart Zender, in my opinion, is one of the best bassists to ever pick up the damn thing in any capacity. And the instrumental, it shows everybody. It shows like even the dude on the didgeridoo. Yes, they have a didgeridoo player, and he is phenomenal in his own right. Then it goes into Morning Glory, and the last song on the album, probably my third favorite on the album itself, Space Cowboy. Good Lord. There's not a bad song on this album. If you were a fan of bass guitar and the intricacies that go with being a funk bassist, this is definitely like a must listen album. If you are wanting to be a funk bassist, I've listened to this album countless times. And like going back to like Kenny with Illmatic, it's not even my favorite Jamiroquai album, but this is definitely a really good start if you're going to try to get into them. If not that, then we will talk about that more in the 1996 episode, which is my actual favorite album from them, Traveling Without Moving, which obviously Virtual Insanity, which was by far the biggest hit they ever made, was on that one. But if I had to give Return of the Space Cowboy 0 to 10, easy 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, and it's very deep lyrical content as well as just some of the best funk instrumentals you've ever heard in your life. Highly recommend it.
That's what's up. I was listening. I let you. I was in the middle of doing something. I had you on mute, but I do have a couple of questions. I heard something about a didgeridoo. So you said he was cold with it?
Oh yeah, they have a didgeridoo player. So basically, the people in the band are J.K. He's the singer. Toby Smith is the keyboardist. Stuart Zender, like I said, one of my favorite bass guitarists of all time. Derek McKenzie on the drums, and Wallace Buchanan playing the didgeridoo. But no, like if you've ever like wanted to just dance to a didgeridoo, this is the album for you.
I've already have, fam. Yeah, I know all about that didgeridoo. You know, if I could play instruments, I would have played one, but I can't.
But with that being said, we're going to go into Kenny's third album.
Yeah, man, and yeah, I gotta definitely bump me some of that Jamiroquai. I fucks with the didgeridoo, and this seems like maybe it's like the Godfather of Thundercat. So, or well, besides, well, Parliament's probably the Godfather of Thundercat, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
So on to something that's very not like Thundercat, but kind of still is in a little bit, of a sense. A lot of people involved in this. We got classic, verified classic album, debut album, off of legendary Bad Boy Records, regardless of the connotation. We have Ready to Die by Biggie, Notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls, Christopher Wallace, man. And I mean, it's a very first thing before I do the track by track, I want to go into something that I got from this album the very first time I heard it. My somebody really close to me played it for me, and they played it for me the same day they played Californication. So I never heard either one of these albums before in my life, and I heard both of them the same day, and what a day it was. But it captures the essence of like everyday struggle, suicidal thoughts, obviously, respect, the intros, the skits. It captures the essence of like, motherfucker, I'm ready to die. Like that's it. It does maybe one of the best jobs at picture painting in all of the classic golden era of hip hop. And this was, see, contrary to popular belief, this was released before Biggie and Tupac really had a problem. So um, this was just like raw Biggie, like it's just raw New York on the, kind of in the same way the Nas album is, but different. It's got the same, it's another pioneer and another different thing. And of course, we can't like talk about Ready to Die without we talking about Juicy, which and pioneered a lot of things, which not some things are my favorite. Some things aren't really necessarily, I think, good for hip hop, like the whole massive major video with the video girls and the jet and the landed on the moon and stuff like that started in that Juicy video shoot, and it's just it's a time, it's a moment. I in light of freaking certain realities that have probably come to be that have come to light, I'm gonna leave somebody's part out of this. I'm not even gonna talk about him, honestly, but Biggie, man, it's just it's pure Biggie because it's not corrupted by any politics or any just major stress that we all are so well versed in now. Unfortunately, is before all that. Like, and I think that the worst song on the album here. Let's get controversial. The worst song on the album is probably, I could do without the What, man. I mean, I know the Method Man's the only feature on the album, but I could do without that song. I can't say I could do without Juicy because I can say every word to Juicy right now if I need to. The What, I don't
Was
really think
all a dream.
it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Yeah. Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine. Yeah, and they're on the yacht and shit, bro. It looks like it's one of those videos where everything looks old, but it wasn't even old at the time. Like, like in the '94, apparently they just had a fog over the world, or when you were doing the Nas video, they had that Fallout 3 green effect, So like New York's had some weird weather that year, apparently. But yeah, I like Big Papa. If you've ever seen, shout out to the man Keanu Reeves. If you've ever seen Hardball, where he's coaching the
I love
team.
it when you call me Big Papa.
Yeah, I love it when you call me Big Papa. That's the only song he listens to. Yeah. So shouts out to my guy, man. I don't remember his name, but I remember
his name in the movie, but
I remember what he did, man. He freaking in our hearts forever, bro. Thank you, Keanu.
There was like an SNL sketch with Will Ferrell who did like do you know what crooning is? Like this kind of thing, like it's like talking like like that. How would you say it?
Like Sinatra and people like that?
Dude, honestly, like this is gonna be a hot take, and this is probably not the place. Young Thug and Future are crooners in a sense.
Yeah, like I mean, I get it. I mean, if you think about it, like, but that like
absolutely.
Damn it, what's their name? Like Frank Sinatra and Dean. Is it?
Dean Martin and
Dean Martin,
fucking Bing Crosby and all those guys.
There was this guy named Robert Gulo, and like Will Ferrell did it, and like he over exaggerated, obviously, like being on SNL, but like he's like, my name is Robert Gulo, and I'm singing the popular hip hop songs of the '90s, and he's like, and I love it when you call me Big Papa. Throw your hands in the air if you're a true player.
I bet.
Every time I hear that, like I think of that song, and like I don't know, I think of that skit. He also did the song by Cisco the same way. He's like song.
Oh my god,
it's funny as fuck.
Okay.
Anyways, Look up that SNL skit. You know, everybody listen like it's you'll definitely laugh for it. But I guess I'll go into my fourth album. And
yeah, I give Ready to Die a 9 out of 10.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. There's not much else to say. If y'all don't know about Ready to Die, you better be listening to some Ready to Die when you get all out of this podcast and go reevaluate your life decisions. 9 out of 10.
An iconic album. Like I don't.
And the man kills himself at the end of the album. He's born at the beginning and dies at the end. It's the first time somebody did that I can think of.
Jesus.
I've been doing that shit ever since.
What fucking Kendrick Lamar? Who do you think you are?
Yeah, fucking bro. Make Kendrick a biter, bro. The man's stealing all this shit. Jay-Z's the greatest rapper of all time. All right, I'm about to get in trouble. All right, Harley.
We're gonna have to cut you off.
Yeah.
So I'm might be a little pick me album. This is this is what made this dude's career. It put him into the stratosphere. Hell, even made him an actor. Like this album did so much for this dude with 5 number 1 hits, and which is crazy because they're all in a row, like on the album. It's fucking insane. This album has so much heat, and it's the Billboard's best-selling album of 1994. It's fucking Not a Moment Too Soon by Tim McGraw. This shit, brother, I know, like you said, you didn't you're not just a huge country fan, but what Tim McGraw did and what this album did for him, pretty much made his career. This shit just sent him into another world, man.
Is it quintessential country listening in general, you would say?
Do what?
Quintessential essential country listening in general, would you call it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially 90s country, this is definitely, overall, really, dude, it's just and a lot of people, a lot of people are strongly, they feel strongly about Tim McGraw, either, they love him or hate him or whatever. But this, everybody can pick a song on this album, really, that they've heard or that they like, that they still enjoy. My personal favorite would be Wouldn't Want It Any Other Way.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. That's
the first 3 songs are, not hits. They were just, it was it doesn't get any countryer than this. Give It To Me Straight, which is an ode to George Strait, obviously. And then Wouldn't Want It Any Other Way, which is, dude, that's just a banger. And then you get to the 5 number 1 songs. Then you have, actually, I take that, my favorite song is the last song on the album. I'm looking at it and I'm like, dude, this song, this album is just fucking wonderful, top to bottom. And so with the 5 number 1 hits, y'all have all heard, everybody's heard them. You got Down on the Farm at me and what's her name? What the fuck's her name? Me and Bobby Johnson. I don't know. Or Down on the Farm, move. It kind of got the whole, farm pickup truck shit going. Which they have diluted that into some horse shit nowadays. But they just kind of overused that. And then Not a Moment Too Soon, the title track, was a number one, just a great song, man. A slower ballad, but it really tells a great story. And then you have his first, this is the first single, the one that shot him into I'm an Indian outlaw, half Cherokee and Choctaw. My baby, she's a Chippewa.
That's a banger.
She's a one of a kind.
That's about first.
Yeah. Brother, everybody knows that shit. And then you got Refried Dreams, which might be one of the, it'd be out of the 5 number 1 hits, it's probably the least, might be the least known, retrospective, looking back, people might be I don't know about that, and hear it and be oh yeah, I remember that shit. Cause I don't know, you had, with all the hits on here, you just had to play some of them more than others, at points. But it's a great song. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of a Jimmy Buffett song. He's I'm down here in Mexico living on refried beans, or I'm having refried dreams, whatever it's. But anyways,
gangster, man, like
and
for real.
then
I like it. I like the whole
but
thing.
like the brother, like, and then of course everybody knows this shit. The one that just like sent him off. I mean, still has to play it every shit. Like can't go with a show without playing it, and that's "Don't Take the Girl."
Don't take the girl. Yeah, I got you.
Probably my favorite Tim McGraw song, honestly.
Pretty damn good.
Take my best friend, Bo. Take anybody in the world, but
Yeah, man.
please don't take the girl. I mean, it's just like it's iconic, brother. Like
Johnny's daddy, bro. Man.
taking him
Yeah.
fishing, but like the whole song, like you listen to it and it's like you understand why it's a hit. You understand why it's iconic. Like the storytelling in that song is like so wonderfully done, and like how Tim just like like how he makes it, like pushes it out. It's like damn, like it just gets you every time. Like it wraps you
Kind of
into
like
the story.
for freaking country songs. It's like well, if you take genres out of it, it's the same in the same category. It's the same type of let's see, like Piano Man or Stan or Don't Take the Girl. They're all in the same upper echelon of just like fantastic songs, like of storytelling. And then Nas wrote a song in reverse, but we're not going to talk about that.
What'd you say?
Nas wrote a song in reverse, but we're not going to talk about that. There's everybody, and then there's but yeah, no, I like I knew 4 of those right off the bat. Like I could hear them as soon as you said the title.
Yeah.
So like yeah, this is definitely probably on the Mount Rushmore country albums from my outsiders.
And like I said, it was the #1 selling album of '94. Like Billboard's best selling album of '94. It's like
so out of everybody we're talking about right now, like this is the winner.
Like, it spent 26 weeks at #1. Like it spent half the year at #1, dude.
So he dominated one of the best years of music.
Yeah, like it literally was that fucking like that's what I mean. Like when it just took Tim McGraw from like it just shot him into stardom, and then honestly, like his albums, and to me, like this wasn't even his best out. Like it had a lot of power, but like brother, like he went on a heater from this album on. Like this dude, he like in the '90s, brother. You just couldn't mess with Tim McGraw like that. Like he was, he was out there like neck and neck with George Strait.
Yeah, he's that dude.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of weird because like I don't know, like in the area we grew, like in the South, like you hear a bunch of country music, it's kind of like second nature to a point of hearing it. But like when you think about like the mainstream, like country really isn't like it's not as popular, I guess. Well, right now it's kind of in a resurgence. I guess a lot of people listen to it, but
country and hip hop have a lot of common themes that I've seen. They like just in the way as a music form, and they're kind of in the kind of weirdly enough kind of the same place in 1994. In different reasons, but I mean, hip hop was still kind of just been born. Country been they both been around forever, but
but like they were getting
if you look at I grew up on like a lot of you can probably play me a lot of stuff, and I'm like, oh, I've heard that, and not even realize who, because growing up in the South, and like there's just a lot of parallels that I can draw, and a lot of parallels that I've seen like artists draw, like some of these legendary artists draw between their careers and somebody you would never think. Like it's we definitely need that Tim McGraw, Billy, God, I just forgot his name. The piano man guy, Tim McGraw and Stan to link up for that, collaboration. Elton John, right?
Billy Joel.
Billy fucking Joel. I knew it was Billy goddamn Joel. Catalina wine mixer. Sorry, y'all, man. I got time to spend making raps, dissecting raps, breaking down raps. The other genres get neglected, but I do love all music. So yeah, that's fantastic. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's definitely an album for people to like. If you just want to get into country, like kind of, see what it evolved like, because like I don't know, like like before him is like George Strait was obviously on a war path, like he was doing his, and then like Garth Brooks when he first came out, like he blew up, and like he was the first person to ever do a world tour for a country, like as a country artist, he was the first person to do a world tour, and then like Tim McGraw just took that with this album and just went nuclear.
Yeah.
Like, you just couldn't, like, he brought it to another level. It was like, holy shit, this dude's doing something. We're not.
All right, y'all.
We're not.
I got one more comparison that might get me canceled, and then I'm done with the comparisons. Tim McGraw is on the same trajectory as Tupac at the same time. Think about it. Think about it.
Good Lord, I'm really glad. I'm really glad we don't live in the alternate reality where like Tim McGraw is like one of the biggest rappers of the '90s.
Tupac's a country singer. Hell yeah! Oh, dude, that's bro. Jamiroquai is Thundercat.
That's right.
The didgeridoo isn't an instrument.
We'll kick it to Trevor. Let him give us his fourth album.
I'll pull up and kick Trevor. Heard.
Now, before I get into my fourth album, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to The Sun Rises in the East by Jeru the Damager. Fucking bunch of great songs on this. Biggest one off of it by far is produced by one of the best producers of all time, Primo. And we're talking about Come Clean. And this dude just starts it off like, you want to front what? Jump up and get bucked. If you're feeling lucky duck, then press your luck. I snatch fake gangster MCs and make them that a flambe. You're nine spray. My mind spray. But anyway, going into something completely different than that. We're talking about before we really get into that, this is by far the shortest album on here that we're going to be talking about today. It's only 7 songs long. And this is one of my favorite albums of all time. It's probably my second favorite album of '94. We're talking about Jar of Flies, the acoustic rock release from Alice in Chains. And good God almighty, what an album. There's not really a bad song on this, in my opinion, but starts off Rotten Apple, music written by Mike Inez, who was the new bassist at the time. And goes straight from that into my mom's favorite Alice in Chains song, Shout Out Mama. Nutshell, which is probably the saddest song of the 90s, and that's saying a lot.
Well, hold on, son. Bro, are you sure?
What'd you say?
What'd you say on that corn song earlier?
There's Daddy, but then there's also Nutshell, which is just like, I'm on heroin and want to kill myself, which is pretty much like most of Alice in Chains songs, to be completely fair. But, I would say like Nutshell, it's a heart ripper. This whole album's a ripper as far as like your heart goes. Goes into my favorite song on the album, I Stay Away, one of their most slept on hits, in my opinion. Just very massive feel to the song. They bring in an orchestra on the shits, and it's just a beautiful song. Goes into, after that, one of the 2 songs that the lyrics was written by Jerry Cantrell on this album, No Excuses, and another one of the big hits. More than half this album was hits, and that really just shows you how big Alice in Chains was at that time. But No Excuses, of the 7 songs on the album, 3 of them weren't hits. And the 3 that weren't hits were still really, really good. You got the instrumental Whale and Wasp, which is a very fun instrumental. And, they're just in their bag acoustically, kind of giving you a idea of what they're going to be like when they eventually have their unplugged performance. And still probably my favorite unplugged outside of them or Pearl Jam. Nirvana's easiest. Yeah, like Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains unplugged performances are fucking top of the line, beautiful. 94. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. No, I have a question.
What's up?
Can you rap over this instrumental? Is it doable?
No. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't. I mean, it's a challenge. You could probably do it, but like, I don't think it would be. All right, go ahead. But it goes into.
Bet I'm gonna do it.
It goes into also No Excuses. Speaking of Jerry Cantrell writing the lyrics for No Excuses and track 6, Don't Follow, he did lead vocals on. And if you listen to that era of them, Jerry Cantrell and Lane Staley have very, very similar vocal tones to them. I'm not saying Jerry's as good of a singer as Lane, not at all what I'm saying, but Jerry, like, he definitely hold his own when he's singing. And dude, writes all the music. I mean, Jerry Cantrell, like we've talked about on the guitarist list on Harley's side, one of the best guitarists of the 90s, if not the best guitarist of the 90s, depending on who you ask. But it goes into the last song on the album, which is another one of my favorites, Swing on This. The music was written by Mike Inez and Sean Kenny. And
Hey,
yeah, just,
Shout
yeah,
out
one
Sean
of the,
Kenny.
yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm
fucking,
done.
no, you're all good. No, Sean Kenny, one of the best drummers of the 90s. Um, absolutely just a monster when he comes behind the kit. And if I'm not mistaken, this was Mike Inez's first album with Alice in Chains. If I'm not mistaken, I may be
Yeah.
mistaken on that.
No, you're right. It was, which technically it's a EP, but
Yeah, but
yeah, like it
I
was
mean,
the first, but it's a 7 song, like 30 minutes. Like, might as well be an album. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that was Mike Inez. That was his first. That was his first release he did with them. And fun fact that it was recorded in a week. And he came so Alice in Chains. My dad saw this tour. They were touring with Ozzy on. They were on the Dirt. He was on No More Tears tour,
Damn.
and Mike Inez was Ozzy's bass player, and then he got to hanging around the dudes, and like Mike Starr, who the original bass player from Alice in Chains, he was also he was also an addict, like heroin and drinking real bad alcoholic. Like he tragically passed. He passed away in 2011. Rest in peace, Mike Starr. But like he just got he got too far out pretty much, and left. Like he got fired or left or whatever. Like whatever happened, and Mike Inez, like they stole pretty much, like Ozzy says, Alice in Chains stole, Mike Inez from him. Yeah,
Yeah. And Ozzy, I
there's
mean,
that. Like,
you'll have that on these big dubs, though.
you will, and
yeah,
there's got to be some type of reason. Like Ozzy Osbourne is still alive, healthy, and doing stuff like all the time. Like we got to, like, this has to be correct. Please tell me I'm not wrong about that.
No, he's alive. I wouldn't say healthy, but he's alive.
He shouldn't be. Well, with the amount of things that the man has done allegedly, he should not. Medical
He
science.
should have died in the 90s. Let's be honest.
motherfucker should have died in the 70s.
Yeah,
You're not wrong. Those Sabbath days, they were fucking crazy.
Yeah, and like it was just the beginning of like a long bender, and but sometimes you have. I mean, Ozzy's Ozzy, man.
Yeah,
Like I mean, he worked with Post Malone, bro. I heard Post Malone fucks with him, so that's got to mean something,
Yeah,
that's right.
Post Malone put him on the map,
He's even got Travis Scott on a song, bro. Travis Scott knows who he is.
God.
God. You gotta love seeing like these established acts like Travis Scott like giving a helping hand to the little man like Ozzy Osbourne.
Bro, don't play with me. You know that was a real tweet, right? Like you did you just say that, or did you know?
I'm just fucking around. No, I know you're talking about the Paul McCartney and Kanye West shit. That's just so funny.
Bro, that's on God, that actually happened when Travis Scott, when that song was released. So like, like he's putting on, it was happening on both sides. It was the most confusing thing. Everybody was so confused. Nobody knew. Everybody was mad at each other because they were just so confused. Like, who's this young kid? Well, that was nice of them putting that kid on the song, for the Aussies, fans. And then all the Post Malone and Travis Scott fans are like, nah, bro, these are like the biggest fucking people ever. Who the fuck is this? And like Twitter was just, for like 2 days, it was what Twitter was mad about, I think.
Yeah, they were tore up.
Yeah, the Elton John, it wasn't the same. It was on the song was on both albums, I believe. But I like that Elton John Ozzy duet that was on his like last album. Kind of just a.
That was good.
That was damn good.
Yeah, it was a really. That was in 2020 when I was like, oh, cool, this is gonna be a great year for music. Still,
Yeah.
Rest
but
shout out to Plandemic. You hear me?
Right. Oh God, we're blacklisted. Like, bro, what happens when you get blacklisted? You just freeze. Like, what's like? like I get put in like the thing from fucking Superman and just sent out into the like what? Like, is that what happens? Like,
probably.
But yeah, man, all these folks gotta get together and do a track, bro. Like I get DJ Khaled. This might bring Khaled back. That freaking 1994 remix. All right.
Dude, I'm so glad DJ Khaled wasn't like the biggest country star of the '90s.
Don't say that too loud, bro. He might. I could see DJ Khaled making a switch real quick.
Oh boy, we don't need that.
DJ Khaled,
DJ Khaled. DJ Khaled, Luke Combs. Oh God. All right, never mind. All right, so I'm gonna get on to my last two because that was awful. I don't even want to think about that.
That was a bad image, brother.
Got that Morgan Wallen, Jay-Z, Luke Combs single by DJ Khaled.
Another one, N-word.
Is that where the culture's going? What'd you say? Hold on.
Who's dropping the N-word? Surprise, surprise! It's Morgan Wallen.
Oh yeah, no, I mean he's cool with little. He's been given. I don't know if he's been given a pass, but he's hit the streets. I mean he's out here. He's trying to he does call him a money bag, bro. Like I mean. I mean, Dolph probably would have done it if I'm sure Dolph would have done a country song. Dolph was probably into that type of shit. Honestly, it seems like it's Memphis, dog. Memphis is such a weird place. It's such an anomaly.
Yeah,
folks, bro. You see some shit out here. Not even some dangerous shit all the time. It's just some shit you wouldn't expect.
Yeah,
everybody knows 3-6 Mafia. That's a rule.
That's it.
We were all born in the pyramid. But yeah,
world's biggest Bass Pro Shops.
It wasn't always Bass Pro Shops. They used to try to have concerts there. Think about that.
They did. My dad went there. My dad has.
It was apparently the worst place ever to go to worst place ever to go to a concert, from what I've heard.
Yeah, it was wild. Like Dad said, it was wild, but like because the sound was just like the way obviously built. It's just like the sound was just. I don't know. He said it was kind of rough, but it was cool.
Yeah, they tried to play basketball in that joint too.
Yeah, like he said, it was cool to experience it, but it was just kind of, a little lackluster, I guess, so to speak. But
the Egyptians weren't thinking about acoustics, and we didn't really think about it that much either. I don't think that'd be my guess if I had to guess why this happened.
Oh yeah,
because like the whole reason there is a pyramid in Memphis is because they needed to see if it would work for Vegas. So if it was gonna fuck up, they wanted to do it somewhere that it wasn't as So yeah, the Grizzlies played there for a minute, and they didn't like it either. It was awful. Like it was empty for a long time. They were gonna turn it into a water park for a minute. Now we got the fish. Big fish. But anyways, so who's not a fish?
Who's that?
Bone Thugs and Harmony. So, all right. I want to talk about Bone Thugs and Harmony debut album, Creeping on the Come Up. It's actually on Ruthless Records. So it was the album that they made while Eazy-E was still alive. It's the album that has Full Love of Money on it. You know any. It also has thuggish, ruggish bone. Like we're not against rap. We're not against rappers. And that's two just essential Bone Thugs and Harmony, two essential hip hop songs. I'm not gonna harp on it, man. There's a lot of shit going on in 1994. I will say. And there's even more. I know we didn't even scratch all of the ones I wanted to get to. There's a whole West Coast, murder. There was a movie soundtrack that had a bunch of West Coast legends on it too. Natural Born Killers, a whole bunch of other really dope stuff. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Bone Thugs and Harmony in Eazy-E's original version, vision for it. So it's a really neat album. I like it. And it's I saw Bone Thugs and Harmony live in 2019, along with 3-6 Mafia. Rest in peace, everybody. Especially Gangsta Boo. But Bone Thugs and Harmony, man, they are. If you ever get a chance to see them live, do it. They killed it, and the crowd did Eazy's verse, and it was probably one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. A whole bunch of people just slinging, fucking standing on the corner straight, slanging rocks. Oh shit, here comes the motherfucking cops. Can't beat that. You look behind you and you see freaking, oh, that person's famous as hell. I'm just going to turn my head back. They're just chilling too. But yeah, and then my last album, Creeping on to Come Up. It's good. It's short. It's to the point. I've done a lot of talking. So it's good. Go check it out, man. Very good. And then last album is Scarface, and it's called The Story. I believe it's called The Story. Yeah, The Story. And it's got the classic "Never Seen a Man Die." He greets his father with his hands, rehabilitate his sight. Glad to be the man's child. Y'all may have heard of it. What another really good storytelling song? I'll put it maybe a notch below Stan, and don't take like what we were talking about earlier, but it's in there. It could be in that top tier. For some people, it is. Maybe it is for me. But the album's good. I have to listen to it again because I just, there's the concept. He expands on it a lot, and it's something that definitely is for. There's actually another version of Mine playing Tricks on Me on there, which is kind of cool.
Huh.
Because Scarface is one is a member of the Ghetto Boys.
Oh yeah.
Shout
out to Ghetto Boys.
Shout out to Ghetto Boys.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close to Halloween. Robbing little kids.
They were one of the first bands, like first groups, like got me into hip hop pretty heavy. Like,
oh yeah, and they were really big. No, they were big for like like Tech Nine wouldn't have been able to do what he did if Rap A Lot Records didn't do what they did. And Houston kind of came up all on its own in the hip hop thing, which was really cool. So Scarface dropping in '94 just makes sense. Like everybody was dropping their foundations,
Oh yeah.
And Scarface, he didn't miss. He was there too. Honorable mention: Coolio dropped an album in 1994. Man, it doesn't have Gangsta's Paradise on it. If it was that album, I would have put it in my top 5. Shout out to Coolio though. All right, rest in peace, Coolio. Actually, hold on, rest in peace. Long live Coolio.
Rest in peace, Coolio.
We've been spending most of our lives living in an Amish paradise.
Oh yeah, shout out to him being mad at Weird Al.
Yeah,
bitch.
Yeah, he was mad. he was Kwanzaa bot too, dude, on Futurama.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Shouts out to Futurama, bro. Apparently, there's unreleased music in the Kwanzaa bot role of the new Futurama reboot. I haven't watched it because I'm just, that's a different topic. Let's not get on me and reboots. But yeah, there's some unreleased Coolio if you want to hear that. If you're a Coolio fan, you're out there listening, want to hear that last Coolio, go get that Futurama reboot.
That's right.
Say it like you can go to the store and get it, like just a boot with a.
I guess I'll go. My favorite album of 1994. One of the best selling albums of all time. If I'm not mistaken, I think it might be the highest selling debut album of all time. If not, it's in like the top 5 or whatever. But it is double, like just in the United States alone, it is double diamond. It's sold over 20 million copies. And it is none other than Cracked Rear View from Hootie and the Blowfish.
Oof.
This is my favorite album of 94. Like, brother, like everybody, like the 4 songs, and I don't know, I guess they were probably, if I had to take a guess, I'm sure like these 4 were number ones. Like they had to be, like, as much as they still get played, but like, the big hits like Hold My Hand.
That album? Oh
yeah. Let Her Cry.
I know this album. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows this album. Like Hold My Hand.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Let Her Cry. That's one of the biggest songs of all time. Like they still play it multiple times a day on the radio. I only want to be with you. Like you have those 3 songs in a row, like from 2, 3, and 4 on the album. And it's like, the fuck? And it's just like, then you go after that, some of my favorite, like Running from an Angel. That is such a good, that's such a great fucking song. I love that. Like a lot of this first album too was like, there's a few songs like Drowning, where like Darius talks about, growing up, like they're from South Carolina, like growing up, like with the, like facing racism and like shit like that.
Yeah.
And there's stuff like that. And a lot of this album, is dedicated to his mother, like he lost. And I think she passed like 91, 92, like a few years before this. And like,
wow.
He ended up writing a lot of this for his mom, that he dedicated, like, I'm Going Home, Look Away, Not Even the Treat, Goodbye. Like, and then there's a hidden track, which, like, honest, like Goodbye, that'll fucking hurt you. And like the last song, like Motherless Child, like that shit, brother, like it about brings me to fucking tear. I'm like, God damn, Darius. I'm sorry, brother. Like,
you wanna know something crazy?
what is it?
I when I was in second grade, right? I ended up with this album. It's like the gray cover, right? It's got to be the album. Yeah, there's no way it isn't. And for like that entire I was like in the second grade or something like that. My mom was like, "Do you like that album or whatever?" And I liked it a lot. You know, this is back before I was a hardcore and whatnot. I guess I was hardcore, but just different. And I literally would listen to this album. Like it was the album that was in my CD player in my room for like almost half the year in second grade. And I haven't listened to it in full since then, but I've definitely listened to this album. I've consumed this album a lot. I feel like if I heard it once, it would just all come back, you know?
Oh, dude, go back and listen. Like, and I'll be honest with you, like the opening song, probably it's my favorite song without a fucking doubt. Like, it's Hannah Jane. Like the way it fucking opens with like the drums, and it's just like, and you got your big girl, you have your one too. I mean,
Yeah, I remember this.
like I just like that fucking album, man. Like it is so fucking good. Like
Smooth.
Hannah Jane, I swear to God, like the story and like all. It's kind of like we've talked. Like the storytelling, I guess, is a lot of our like common interest with music. Is like
Absolutely.
this whole album tells a fucking story, dude. Like when you hear like just for the hit, like when you hear "Let Her Cry," even too, like even now, you just like I put myself. I'm like, damn, I'm sitting here drinking. I'm just like, and I don't even drink anymore. But I'm like, I'm just sitting here drinking whiskey. I'm like thinking about my second ex-wife. Like, why won't she come back to me? Like,
all right. Well, now that my bro, I'm thinking about my school crush from fourth grade. Why did it never work out?
Yeah,
Sit on the roof.
you're
I
like,
don't even got no roof.
like, why do you have to hold his hand? Why you got to break my heart like this?
Bro, you
I
gotta
think that's
we were
where
just trying to go to the spelling bee, girl.
I think Drake probably listens to that song before he like does an album.
He needs Drake needs to be. He used to be listening to that before he dropped an album. Now the man's listening to too much Tupac in the bathroom. Like he needs to go back to the.
Like he
I
probably
like Drake with the melodies.
He probably listened to this when he did like Take Care.
That'd be fresh, bro. I mean, you got Drake and OVO Sweatshop. The Weekend. All listening to Hootie and the Blowfish. Like,
oh yeah, just banging, bro. Like
that's how you make Take Care, bro. He may have brought in Darius, and maybe his ghostwriter. You never know on that. Maybe one of them.
Oh, Darius.
But yeah, no, I mean, well, go ahead.
No, I just said like this album is perfect. Like it's 10 out of 10. Not a bad song.
I agree with 10 out of 10 for sure.
And like I said, even the songs that aren't like out of the 4 songs. Oh, the other hit, that I forgot to mention is Time. Time, why you run away?
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I gotta listen to this one.
But this whole damn, I don't know. Look, okay, I don't know.
I already know, bro. Like I can remember it, but it's just like I remember it hit me. It was such a profound. It's such a good album. It hit me at the age of 8, like that.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it will hit like because I got on.
I'm about to legit bump that one.
Like I got on a kick on them. Like listen to this album in 2019, and then I listened to like the rest of me. I'm like, I was on a big Hootie and the Blowfish kick, and like this album just like. I don't know.
With my mom being gone, I think it might have a different meaning too.
Yeah.
That's unexpected. There was a lot of fire music that dropped in 1994. Like what? I don't know if fire is even the right word. Like it's a lot of just like
impact,
lights and Alpha and Omega type shit.
Oh yeah.
You got
like, there was a lot of I don't know, like 94, dude. I guess there's a lot of heat that came out that year. Like people were going like what's Trevor still
of the genres now, man. 94. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, 94 was just one of the most iconic years as far as music goes. And going into my album, this is my favorite album of 1994 personally. And keeping in mind kind of like what we said earlier, this isn't even my favorite album from this band, but this is by far my favorite album of the year. I'm going to talk about, and definitely the biggest album they ever put out. We're talking about Super Unknown from Soundgarden, and just an absolute banger. My favorite singer of all time, Chris Cornell. This is some of the best work he ever did. This is when he was really in like his clean bag. He was a little more clean with his delivery than he was like everything before this, but still not a bad song on it. Opens up with "Let Me Drown," which is just good lord. Again,
oh yeah, brother.
Just heavy as hell. Just gets you straight into it. Just gives you an idea of what you're about to be dealing with. Then it goes into the first hit on the album. It wasn't the first hit released, I don't think, but it was the first hit as far as the track list goes. And we're talking about "My Wave," which of the hits on this album, probably to me, the second weakest. Which I mean, people like there isn't a bad song on this album except for one, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But "Fell on Black Days," track 3. If you haven't heard this song, go just stop the pod and listen to it immediately, because if you need a good introduction to Soundgarden that isn't fucking Black Hole Sun, "Fell on Black Days" is probably the one. Then it goes into probably my favorite song on the album, "Mailman."
Oh.
Absolute slugger of a song.
Fucking ass
Just,
beater.
good lord. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. It beats your ass left or right. Just wonderfully made song. Super heavy.
Riff.
Yeah, big PP riff. Like, it's just one of those songs. "Mailman" is phenomenal. Goes into what was one of my favorite songs on this album, still is, but just like after listening to it, there's just better music on it. "Super Unknown," the title track. In my opinion, it might be, if it ain't like the like Cornell display on this album, it's top 2 at the very least. He's just like, I don't think he leaves the damn tenor register on this song at all. "Head Down," another absolute banger of a song. "Black Hole Sun." Then it goes into "Spoon Man." Spoon, like I'm sorry, I don't like Black Hole Sun, but "Spoon Man" is just a wonderful song. Has an actual spoon solo on it, staying true to the name. Thanks to the good old, what the hell's his name, Artiste the Spoon Man, as a street performer from Santa Cruz, and then later on Seattle, who winds up like they just give him 2 spoons, put him in a studio, is like, all right, go crazy, and he does. If you ever want to get jiggy to a spoon solo, that's the song for you. Another one of my favorite songs on this album, "Limo Wreck." Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I love Spoon Man. Probably one of the better songs about addiction ever written. One of the smarter, one of the more clever.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I did not know the thing about spoons. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's like there's a.
It was based off a dude like the spoon got like, like the guy that was playing spoons on the street. Like they were all walking in Seattle, like saw him, and they're like, "That's fucking wild." And then they just kind of like started writing the song about him. Like,
oh man, naturally, it happens.
Yeah. But right after Spoon Man, it goes into one of the biggest bangers on the album, "Limo Wreck." Again, if you haven't heard it, you need to. Then it goes into, I guess, the last big hit on the album, but like the second to last like hit in any capacity, with "The Day I Tried to Live." Again, it's slower, but it's an ass beater in its own right. Goes into the shortest song on the album, "Kickstand," which, I mean, if you see a Soundgarden song that's a minute and a half long, you know exactly what you're about to get into. Goes into another one of my favorites from, honestly, this whole album is just phenomenal, but "Fresh Tendrils," good lord, love it. Then it goes into probably my
title.
Fresh,
was that title?
Fresh Tendrils.
Beautiful. Okay, that's all right. I don't know if "beautiful" is the right word, but yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Very well.
And then it goes into what was my very first favorite Soundgarden song, and a fan favorite, "4th of July." Oh, Oh my God! Again, you need to listen to this album in its entirety. But 4th of July, if I had to just pick a song off this album that is, on one hand, accessible for the average listener, and on the other hand, something so unique to Soundgarden's sound that it will absolutely hook you, like hook, line, and sinker, 4th of July is the one for you. And then
Is
it
it
goes
patriotic?
into, huh?
Is it patriotic? Can I play this at my 4th of July cookout?
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
I split burgers for this shit. All right, heard. All right, continue. You're good.
That's all good. But no, then we go into the second to last song on the album, which is also the second shortest song on the album at 2 minutes 14 seconds, half. Which maybe they wrote that about it's half a song, but who knows? Anyway, it goes into by far the longest song on the album at 7 minutes and 1 second with "Like Suicide," which, if you want Chris Cornell in his depressed bag, that's the one. Um, all the lyrics are written by Chris Cornell except for 2 songs, actually 3 technically. And one of them, I mean, Chris had Matt Cameron actually help him write "Fresh Tendrils," and "Head Down in Half" were written by Ben Shepherd. A lot of the music itself was written by Chris. Um, if you want like a more complete Soundgarden experience, I recommend listening to "Bad Motorfinger," which is my favorite Soundgarden album by far. But if you want like the biggest album they ever made, the most accessible music they ever made, it's Super Unknown. I'd give it a 10 out of 10.
What do you not like
I'd
about
say
Black Hole
between
Sun?
this and Bad Motorfingers. Hi, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. I was going to say, what do you not like about Black Hole Sun?
The fact that it exists.
Black Hole Sun.
Anyway, we're gonna.
I got you.
No, I'm joking. It's just like it's written about nothing. Like there's literally no like Chris himself, this is a quote from him from a magazine. He said, "I wrote it in my head driving home from the studio, a 35 to 40 minute drive from Seattle." And he heard blah blah blah, Black Hole Sun, blah blah blah. That's Chris Cornell's own words about like
Black
the
Hole
song
Sun.
itself.
Yeah.
But it's by far the biggest hit they ever made. It's written about nothing though. It's like it has no like, to me it just feels like a very directionless song, and that's like, even with it being a song that I don't like, every other song on this album absolutely makes up for it to the point where I feel like it's a 10 out of 10.
For sure.
And
okay.
But yeah, I believe we all went over our 5. I'd have to say, shout out, like I said, to Jeru the Damager. Sunrises in the East, wonderful album. Kenny handled most of the rap albums that would probably be like your first choice before checking out the Sunrises in the East, but I recommend like all 15 albums we've named.
Oh yeah.
Like they're all great albums. But shout out to Weezer's debut album. Shout out to Dookie from Green Day. Shout out to the Downward Spiral from one of my favorite bands, 9 Inch Nails. Shout out to Nirvana for their Unplugged performance. This was the year that Kurt committed suicide, but that was the last thing they ever did was that Unplugged. Shout out to Blues Traveler, because I said so. They put out their 4th album, simply called 4. And last of my shout outs, another one, kind of, I was a little late to this. The Second Coming by the Stone Roses. If you like that bluesy kind of like 90s rock, it's the rock they were making in the 90s that wasn't metal or grunge. It's got that kind of classic 70s vibe to it, that stuff that was coming out of England at the time.
That good
really good album.
I'm going to say that good American rock. All right, never mind. Man, as far as in the rap world, we got honorable mentions: BC Boys with freaking Ill Communication. Then we got freaking Method Man. This is how tough it was in rap this year. Method Man. With then we got Tikal. We got Main Ingredient, which is the same people that made Troy. We got freaking. There's one more. Two more. UGK released an album. And then Gangstar. So you had a lot. You had a lot going on in '94, man. Like it was a good year.
It was hard to break it down to just 5. I can assure you that '94 is just one of those years in music.
I know for me, the main 3 that I'm going to be listening to and I'm not doing this to be politically correct. And make sure I get all the genres. This is genuine. I'm listening to that Hootie and the Blowfish album like now. Then I'm gonna listen to Jamiroquai, and I'm gonna listen to that George. I'm listening to the Tim McGraw joint. I like George Strait, but I'm listening to the Tim McGraw joint.
Yeah, do the Tim McGraw. It's like it'll change your life.
Man, my life.
Not a bad choice.
But like it's them album. I don't know. What did y'all talked about? I'd have to go. I don't know. I need to go back. Like listen to Illmatic for sure.
Bump that Illmatic.
Pretty.
I need to bump that Silo Blue list of playing music too.
And listen. I kind of want to check that whole album out that Trevor was like his first album he talked about. Like let's do it.
Yeah. Courtney Love. I'm telling you, dude, it's a banger. It's a sleeper.
I feel like it's essential. I feel like I would enjoy it from a different just as a music historian and knowing the place in history. I feel like that'd be essential. I mean, they're all, man. I want to listen to everything. I mean, I want to hear everything. I was trying to think of something I didn't want to hear that we've talked about, and I mean, I would say the 14.5-minute Corn song, but I'm very. It's a bad. I gotta hear that, John, too. There's a lot going on.
It'll get you in the boo-boo. I'll tell you that.
Akon wouldn't have fit in on that one. That would have been weird.
No. Fucking Acorn is exactly what we need.
Fucking Acorn, bro. Oh God, Acorn.
We still need my honorable. I haven't I guess I'll give a few honorable mentions since I haven't.
Yeah.
Since I haven't said any, but throughout the whole thing, I just did my album. I haven't even done a shout out, but shout out the Cranberries' second album, No Need to Argue. It had the hit Ode to My Family, Zombie, and one of my my not an ex-wife, I figured, but my actual ex-fiance, she's showed me this is one of her favorite bands, and she showed me that the Daffodil Laminate, brother, storytelling. I swear to God, listen to that song. Kenny, I promise you'll love. It is. It's
am I gonna lay on the floor in the rain?
Do what?
Is it some lay on the floor inside while it rains type music?
Probably. I don't know. Dude, you just you. It's very dark, and it's and then it has a haunting twist at the end that's happy, but you just committed murder.
Oh, it's fucking. I got you.
Wow,
man. I'll be like, yeah, there's that laying on the floor while it rains.
Yeah, but it's a phenomenal song, and I guess shout out Purple, the second album from Stone Temple Pilots, with my even out of their hits, it has to be my favorite song, Interstate Love Song. I don't know, that song just does something to me, it just puts me in a happy place. I love it. That's a great album. And then shout out Far Beyond Driven from Pantera. Looks the heaviest album to debut at number 1, apparently.
Hell yeah.
I guess that still holds up.
I can see that.
I mean, brother, however you feel about Pantera, it's just Far Beyond Driven, dude. That was peak Pantera. They were just doing what they were in their bag, man.
They were pioneering like everybody else was doing in '94. Apparently, they were just making the blueprint on how to do these things.
That, and shout out Throwing Copper, the debut album from. Well, hold up. I say debut. Let me check before I try to confirm that. But
let's be checking our facts. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I got to check my facts. I can't spit.
It was the third album from Live, yeah.
Oh, well, it says second album. Fuck it. Second album. The soft
released on my birthday.
They did not hit a sophomore slump because this had I Alone, Lightning Crashes All Over You on there, three big. Oh, Selling the Drama. That was the other hit. That was 4 smash hits they had on that. Dude, that album was huge, and that's a great that's a good 90s album, sort of like that Bush thing, kind of
Bush album.
that like I was, talking about with them. But yeah, I mean that's probably about I guess all my honorable mention. Well, besides Trevor's favorite, the Offspring with their album Smash.
Oh God, the Offspring dropped.
That had his favorite song, "Self Esteem," on there.
Is your favorite song? Nice.
Redacted.
Redacted. No, you can't edit this out. All right. So I'm gonna give us one random fact from 1994. I almost said 2004. That was Go DJ year, bro. We got a long way to go. We're gonna see in the world of opera in 1994. I'm just gonna pick one of these fine people. We got Vivian Fine with Memoirs of Eulina Rooney. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So from Vermont.
What the fuck did you call me?
This is the Wendy's. But yeah, man. So the opera game was still alive and well. Well, I mean, she died in 2000, but she was 80. She was 80. She was 80 years young. When she made this is probably maybe her last album. So shouts out to Vivian Fine for her contributions to opera in the year 1994. Hell yeah.
Fucking opera.
I just went to I'm at the Wikipedia page. I'm like, I just want to pick something random. Like,
I guess shout out Oasis, considering like it'd be weird if like people are gonna be like, "What are you talking about the other Beatles?" It's like, well, because they suck. But
we don't care
we
about
can also
Oasis here.
no, and I guess shout out Jeff Buckley, R.I.P. Honestly, the thing is, like, I'm not really big into the singer-songwriter kind of music, but I know he does the most famous version of Hallelujah by far. So,
hey guys,
I guess shout out
we
to
missed
him,
something.
R.I.P.
We missed something big.
What was that?
Shout out to TLC with Crazy Sexy Cool.
Oh,
yeah, that was yeah. That was
a damn good album too.
It's number 1 on the list I'm looking at right now. Yeah. R.I.P. Left Eye Lopez.
Waterfalls on it. I mean,
one of the best songs ever, man. One of the best albums ever. Yeah. Jesus, I don't got time to go into this. Y'all, RER podcast. Well, I'm a guest, but when I'm a guest, you by request.
That's right.
All right. My phone's about to die, so I'm gonna go on and try to listen to this album. Start listening to all this music, man. I got a lot to do.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of
sounds good. Oh yeah.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure having y'all on. I hope that y'all's audience is cool with my shenanigans.
Oh, they'll be fine.
Because we still got my favorite album to talk about, bro. I mean, we ain't even at, man. Y'all don't even, man. We got to talk about.
We ain't even to 96 yet.
I mean, I don't know if it was in 96, but my favorite Nas album was definitely the Damian Marley joint that he did. But yeah, no, 96. I might be seeing y'all again a couple of years down the road.
Oh yeah, we got the
see y'all at the birth.
Well, thanks for coming on, Kenny. We appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
gentlemen. Yeah, appreciate
thanks
y'all.
for being here, bro.